I wanted to record this video to share in light of a friend of mine who just posted a similar video. Um, a lot of you don't know my history, where I came from, that sort of thing, and I think you'd be a little surprised as to how my story at least begins and unfolds from where I came from to where I am now. I've wanted to share like my life story, like my testimony at least, like, just some of the major events in my life before in the past, but I've been hesitant because I have a very powerful vision in terms of filming it as a movie, like as a documentary where I'm actually acting out, at least to whatever extent or some sort of symbolic way, some of the things that I've been through. But I haven't always been like the fiery preacher or whatever guy that you guys see. In fact, a lot of that growth has happened even just recently. I've always let me start my story just real quick. I was born in Chicago. I was raised in a small town, less than 200 people. It was called Low Point, Illinois, and my father was a Vietnam vet. And I don't want to go too far into it because it's a long story, but he had PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, which means that he would have flashbacks. And as a child, I saw, the father that I loved be out of his mind, screaming for help. Just some things that were terrifying to me because he was literally seeing dead bodies and stuff like that. The stories that he has shared throughout my childhood are some of the most horrifying things that I've ever heard of. Honestly, horror movies don't touch what he experienced in Vietnam. But I'm not going to get too far into that. He did become an alcoholic when I was maybe 9 or 10, just because of the pain and agony that he was going through. And that was really hard. It was hell at my house growing up. My mom was away at college a lot. She was going to college 3 hours away, so their marriage started to fall apart, and a good portion of my childhood was spent with parents that were constantly fighting, and like situations where the whole family is crying, and it was hard. I did get close to God as a child, but it wasn't. It was like the grace that was needed to sustain me. I was able to pray a lot, and it brought me through a lot of it. But even still, Jesus Christ, I didn't understand what that meant or what God was. It was just, I knew something was there, but I never pursued it. So when I was about 14 years old, in the midst of that, I started the first time opportunity I had to do drugs. I dove right into it. I'm going to try to do this quick. By the age 16, I was at least beginning my polysubstance abuse. I think I had done hallucinogenics by that time, and alcohol and marijuana and those sorts of things. Let's see. So at age 16, my father, he was terminally ill for a few years. Well, I mean, we knew that he was going to go, but age 16 is when he died, and that messed my whole family up. I mean, just messed us up. I had two younger sisters. I think one of them was maybe 12 and one of them was 15 when he passed away, something like that, or maybe 12 and 14. And it affected everyone in a different way because we were all in different places. It affected my mom in a bad way, and just a lot of us went through some really hard times. To put it lightly, we all went insane for a while, and that's expected because the dramatic change. I mean, we moved out of the area and all of that, and by 16 I was beginning to deal drugs, and I was a dealer, so to speak, for about 3 or 4 years. The drugs were really innocent at first, and it was just like an escape, and it was fun, and it was like a instant gratification type of thing. But by the time I got to age 18, it was tormenting me. I mean, it owned me. I mean, if I didn't have a substance, I would be freaking out. I would go find something in the supermarket that I could mix together or snort or something to get me off because I could not handle life. I by the time I was like 18 or 19, I'd probably done just about every major hard drug that exists. Some of them going through periods of addiction. The addiction to MDMA, ecstasy, was the worst. It was an incredible rush. It was an incredible drug, but it drained your mind, your soul. I mean, it almost felt like it was robbing your soul, because once you abuse this stuff for a while, you just become really empty inside. And so I think at like 19 years old was like the darkest point of my life. I lived in this apartment. It turned into a crack house pretty much for junkies to come and get high. And I remember it was so bad once. It was this gorgeous summer day. I was living right on the river, and it was just gorgeous, and I had a pool right outside my door. And I would sit. I had a studio apartment, this little room. I had no TV, no radio, no nothing. Okay, and I was so depressed and so empty and so fading away that just seeing the sun made me angry. I mean, I was like mad at the sun. I remember, and this is no joke, I remember I opened the shade one morning and I grinded my teeth and I clenched my fist because I hated the warmth and the light. And I don't know what that was. I still don't understand what that thing was, but it was not good. There was a lot of other things that I was doing. I could probably make a 2-3 hour long documentary of me just talking about when it comes to like sin, when it comes to just like messed up stuff you can do and letting go of your morals. I'd been there. I've been through abortion. I've been through sexual promiscuity and a lot of that stuff. I mean, I've been there, done that, and it ate away at me. But for some reason I thought that Christianity just meant that you just call yourself a Christian and all of that. I never knew of any reality. God took my truck and my apartment away all in the same day, and all in the same week rather, and the business I was working for went under, so I got forced to move in my mom's basement. I was tortured with insomnia. I lost all my friends. Drug withdrawals. Oh my gosh, drug withdrawals were hell. I mean, literally hell. I mean, just your body's reeling for that substance. I did not know how to control my emotions, and I seriously believe that I went through adolescence for the first time at the age of like 20 or like 19 or something, because I'd never dealt with the real emotions that we deal with. You know, as an adolescent, like you know, they're freaking out, they're spazzes, and they have all these emotions, and that's a specific period in our lives that we're supposed to deal with that. Well, I never had that because I was too high, and I had that way of coping with it. So I would literally just have emotional fits like a teenager. It was horrible, and I was afraid to be alone. And this is how it started. I would have these dreams of God, and God would speak, and it was like mighty, and it was glorious, and it was holy, and it was pure. But at least at that point, I'm not sure. I'd been to a few summer camps as a child. I had experiences of the Holy Spirit. I repented, and I felt the Spirit, but that's so fake when it's gone in a minute. I mean, it's just gone, and it's like it never happened. So I would have these dreams of God, and He would tell me about eternity and stuff, but I would be so terrified and so scared of Him, because even though it was God, and even though it was supposed to be good, and I was told it was good, it did not feel good. Like, it was like I was not on the right side of God. Like, I was on the other side of God. And I was watching an evangelist on TV at about 4 or 5 in the morning one night, just freaking out with insomnia and